Welcome to the news on Zodiak with me, Twesa. Go see the headlines. Treasury adjusts 2021-2022 national budget by 5.5 billion kwacha. Vice President Saulos Chilima meets parliamentarians and talks on challenges affecting the public sector reforms. Police dispute social media reports on alleged Lilongwe serial killers. And in sports, beach soccer players to undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing ahead of the start of a new campaign. Now the news in detail. Finance Minister Felix Mlusu has revised upwards the 2021-2022 total budget expenditures with 5.5 billion kwacha. The change is after government has taken on board contributions made by parliamentarians made during the debates and cluster meetings. This means the budget will register a slight change from the original 1.990 trillion kwacha to 1.995 trillion kwacha. More in this report by Andrew Viano.
In his response to contributions and reports from clusters presented in the past few days, Finance Minister Felix Mlusu has considered that government is placed on tight corner as it is supposed to balance deficit and increase in allocations in the budget. Mlusu first dismissed the Democratic Progressive Party DPP spokesperson on finance, Joseph Mwanamveka, who in his response labelled the national budget as being consumptive and than developmental. He said 29% of the total budget this year is towards development, which is first of its kind after 6 years. Finance Minister has also announced scrapping off production of tax certificates for those vying for elected positions days after members of parliament threatened to boycott the budget if it was left unchanged. Mlusu says the adjustments of the budget will, among others, see National Assembly's annual allocation adjusted upwards by 2.8 billion kwacha, Graft Bursting Board Anti-Corruption Bureau SCB 100 million more, and the Office of Director of Public Prosecution or DPP getting 394 million kwacha more to speedy prosecution of cases.
When I presented the budget, the honourable members looked at the budget, they looked at the allocations that we had originally done, and they felt that certain votes needed a little more funding, needed adjustment. So they made those observations, and we have responded to those observations. That's why you have seen that we have made certain adjustments in some of the votes. So actually we listened to what the honourable members wanted us to do.
Members of Parliament are expected to enter Committee of Supply stage beginning Wednesday afternoon. The upward adjustments have now seen the financial plan now being pegged at 1.995 trillion kwacha from the initial 1.990 trillion kwacha.
Vice President Saulos Chilima has cited COVID-19 global pandemic and insufficient funding towards ministries, departments and agencies as challenges derailing progress of public sector reforms. The Vice President, who appeared in Parliament on Tuesday in his capacity as Minister of Economic Planning, has however said reforms have started bearing fruits that Malawians are enjoying. Andrew Viano again.
The Malawi's second citizen, Dr. Saulos Chilima, who is also Minister of Economic Planning, Development and Public Reforms, was at Parliament Tuesday morning to take questions from legislators with focus on how his ministry has performed in reforms thus far. The Vice President first responded to a question from Mulanje's Central Legislator, who is also Leader of Opposition in the House, Kwagwanji Nkhani, on the successes that reforms have registered in MDAs that were championed. In response, Chilima said COVID-19, insufficient funding and lack of human resource have derailed progress in reform agendas that his ministry has been championing. He has, however, commended the pace at which the reforms are being absorbed, saying this far there are remarkable successes that have been registered. The Vice President said in the prevailing COVID-19, over 3,000 groups and 139 individuals have managed to access loans through NIF following some reforms that have been undertaken there. On high cost of living, depreciation of the local currency and rising levels of debt, Chilima said the world all over is going through economic downturn due to COVID-19 and Malawi is not in isolation. He, however, said his ministry, alongside others, are working on measures that will ensure that Malawians are not subjected to extreme high cost of living. Among the measures, Chilima cited the recent trade deal between Malawi and India that will see exportation of pigeon peas, which in the end help reduce trade deficit. This was second time for Dr. Chilima, in his capacity as Minister of Economic Planning, to appear in Parliament and take questions from legislators.
Meanwhile, an economic expert, Bechani Chereni, says government has to make proper investments to ensure that all departments and ministries respond positively to the reforms. Chimamwe Padata reports.
The Vice President said, among other key areas, the public sector reforms agenda has registered tangible strides. He, however, did not share contents of the much-anticipated public sector reforms report that was recently presented to President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. In his address, the Vice President mentioned a number of government entities such as the National Economic Empowerment Fund, NEF, which he said has this far dispersed over 3,000 loans. But an economic expert, Bechani Chereni, is tipping government to ensure that commitments that have again been made by the Vice President should trickle down to other government departments.
The Minister of Justice, to make sure that if there is a need for laws to be changed, to make sure that some of the plans which government has are working, they should be put into use. All the parastatals that are part of the reform agenda, they should be on their toes as well, so that when the president or when the vice president goes back to Parliament to report, he can report that the parastatal A, parastatal M, parastatal Z, they have been performing in this way.
In his first appearance in Parliament in March this year, the Vice President unpacked the Malawi 2063 Development Blueprint, which experts say should be a stepping stone to advance government functions. For Zodiak, this is Chimwemwe Padata.
President Lazarus Chakwera has attacked public officers in Tonse administration for failing to adapt to change in discharging their duties, saying this disease is compromising development efforts in his government. Chakwera spoke on Tuesday in Machinga during the launch of Zero Malaria Starts With Me campaign. The president insists his government needs new ideas to attain development goals. From Mangochi, Rafa Mlozoa reports.
President Lazarus Chakwera said it is unfortunate that malaria remains the #1 killer disease in the country. The Malawi leader said the disease kills at least 6 people per day, as well as creating pressure in public hospitals, as 36% of all outpatients and 15% of hospital admissions are malaria cases. But the president said the problem is that many government officials are stuck in old ways and are not open-minded, which slows down progress. He said he expects ministers, principal secretaries and department heads to think outside the box and create new solutions to the unique challenges the country is facing. In her remarks, Monique Batista, who is the country team leader, USA President's Malaria Initiative, said malaria has serious consequences for the people in the country, including its economy. She said the fight needs a holistic approach from individuals, government, and partners, while committing her government support towards the campaign. For ZBS, this is Rafael Mlozoa reporting.
President Lazarus Chakwera on Wednesday is expected to join regional leaders from Southern Africa Development Community SADC in Mozambique to discuss issues of insecurity rocking neighboring country. Several experts in the country have been calling upon leaders from the bloc to do more in putting to an end to the issue of insecurity. Aina Mlamba has more on this report.
SADC member states are expected to meet on June 23 this year in Maputo, Mozambique, to discuss issues of regional integration, development, cooperation, and will also utilize the platform to discuss regional responses to the current security concerns in Mozambique. In addition, SADC countries will tackle issues of food and nutrition security, as well as the COVID-19 global pandemic. Malawi's security and good governance expert, Sheriff Kaisi, has implored delegates to the meeting to find lasting solutions to the current security concerns in Mozambique, saying there is a threat to SADC economic integration.
What is happening in Cabo Delgado in Mozambique is just about 300 kilometers away from Mozambique to our borders in Mangochi. So yes, it's a very, very important to tackle that issue.
Governance commentator Victor Jipofia Jr. suggests establishing a separate security entity within SADC would help improving the security situation in Mozambique and the entire region.
These terrorists could get into any country within the SADC region. So maybe it's high time that the SADC region could start thinking about having a standing army by itself to be able to help in terms of these insurgents who would come in.
With some suggesting that the unrest in Mozambique needs an exclusively SADC military intervention, Patience Rusali, an Institute for Economics and Peace ambassador in Zimbabwe, says the Mozambique crisis has a big implication on the regional peace effort, hence the need to initiate concrete solutions before the problem spills over to other countries.
It's more than 2 months now since that resolution or that proposal was made. But I think it's in our best interest that SADC moves in quickly to address the situation. We need to find a lasting solution to this challenge before this Cabo Delgado conflict can easily spill over to Zimbabwe, to Tanzania, to Malawi, or even to South Africa.
During the April 2021 SADC Double Tracker Summit, which was held in Mozambique, a communique revealed that heads of states agreed to resuscitate the Force Intervention Brigade to be deployed immediately to Mozambique with its main troops from Malawi, Tanzania, and South Africa. While hailing suggestions to have an intervention in the crisis, Dr. Greg Moffat, a security analyst in Mozambique, has blamed Mozambican President Filipe Jacinto Nyusi for not showing eagerness to address the problem.
The Mozambican president hasn't shown an eagerness to have a regional response yet. So it will affect Mozambique in the sense that northern territory has problems with, because Malawi borders it, Zimbabwe borders it, Tanzania borders it. So if it spills over, it spills into your countries, right? So there's that immediate concern.
Mozambican president, who is also current SADC chairperson Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, will chair the June summit. There has been an Islamic insurgence in the northern province of Cabo Delgado in Mozambique, with reports of attacks, kidnappings and beheadings, which has seen over 3,000 people killed and dozens displaced.
You're watching news here on Zodiac. We'll be back with more after this.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Kungonjezera mayunitsi ATNM kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tikolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera mayunitsi ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Welcome back. Here are the top stories again. Treasury adjusts 2021-2022 national budget by 5.5 billion kwacha. Vice President Saulos Chilima meets parliamentarians and talks on challenges affecting public sector reforms. Police disputes social media reports on alleged Lilongwe serial killers. And in sports, beach soccer players to undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing ahead of the start of new campaign. Moving on with the news, the Malawi Police Service has dismissed reports on an alleged hideout in Lilongwe where criminals have been dumping bodies of murdered people. This follows social media reports of the place around Chirambula roundabout and Kamuzu Central roundabout, where a lot of heinous acts that were taking place with reckless abandon. But speaking to Zodiak on Tuesday, National Police spokesperson James Kadadzela says such reports are false. And 4 Foundation for Irrigation and Sustainable Development FICID directors have pleaded not guilty to 4 charges that have been leveled against them, including the alleged fraud in their dealings with Malawi government. Senior resident magistrate Florence Msekandiwana on Tuesday adjourned the case to July 16 when the state is expected to parade witnesses in court. The 4 were arrested last year, barely days after a protracted legal battle over termination of 2.4 billion kwacha water project in Ncheu. We now move to sports news. Beach Soccer Association of Malawi says all beach soccer players will undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing and be registered with Football Association of Malawi FAM Mpira Connect system. Authorities have disclosed this on Tuesday ahead of the start of the new campaign next month. Beach soccer competitions are expected to return in the 5 designated centers for the first time after 2 years, following a power vacuum and COVID-19 restrictions. Sambanda reports.
Chimbalanga says the mandatory COVID-19 testing for all beach soccer players to be administered by FAM's COVID-19 Emergency Relief Desk will be conducted from next Monday for all teams in the 5 designated centers where the games are played, namely Mangochi, Salima, Karonga, Chinteche and Nkhotakota. The Beach Soccer Association of Malawi president further says all teams will get their COVID-19 emergency relief subventions from FAM as the mother body did with its other affiliates, but the beneficiaries will be those teams whose players are registered with Mpira Connect. Currently, FAM bankrolls beach soccer competitions, but Chimbalanga says there are indications the association may incorporate other potential sponsors.
The way we had been running our games within the 2 years that we have been absent, we have improvised a professional approach to it now, so that those who are playing for beach soccer, mostly they should be for beach soccer. And then we also are talking to 1 or 2 prospective companies that might come forth to support even another league advanced way and improve where our farm is helping us.
This year's beach soccer leagues are expected to throw off on the 10th of July, marking the end of a 2-year break that was forced by a prolonged power vacuum struggle, which started in 2019 before COVID-19 broke out to force the suspension of all activities. The inactiveness of beach soccer activities has led to the national team to excuse itself from the inaugural COSAFA tournament, but authorities say the team will be ready for the Copa Dar es Salaam event in Tanzania end this year.
And that's about what we have time for in this news edition. But before we go, a look at the headlines. Treasury adjusts to 2021-2022 national budget by 5.5 billion kwacha. Vice President Saulos Chilima meets parliamentarians and talks on challenges affecting public sector reforms. Police disputes social media reports on alleged Lilongwe serial killers. And in sports, beach soccer players to undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing ahead of the start of the new campaign. Visit our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. My name is Twesa Ngosi. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Mukagula ploti ku Smart Realtors Company ku Airwing kapena mpalima mse